The police state that we always talked about taking over the United States, are we actually seeing that happen? This is obviously a video on what Trump is doing with the National Guards and ICE taking over certain cities. And rather not taking over certain cities, but deploying them to different cities so that he can fight crime. Now, it's a problem, especially now that he's going outside of D.C. In fact, even with D.C., when people were like, well, it's a federalized city, he didn't have the authority to do that with the National Guards. I'm finding this out now because now DC is taking him to court, suing that he overstepped. And I think that's why DC didn't have much of a pushback, because they're going to take him to court, and it seems like he might lose that case. But again, DC just announced that they're suing. So now he's moving on. He's actually considering Chicago and New Orleans, which that came out of nowhere. I didn't see that happening. And they're also talking about Baltimore. Now, New York City's on that list as well. So is Chicago. But again, this is bad. This is the police state, guys, that we all talked about as preppers, that we were going to see in our lifetime, that we might see in our lifetime, excuse me. And that we thought other presidents were going to do that. We thought Obama was going to do that. We thought Biden was going to do it, even Clinton and possibly Bush, especially after 9/11. We thought we were going to see a police state. Now, we are in sort of a police state-ish kind of state, if you will, with the amount of surveillance that we have on us right now because of the Patriot Act. And now that AI is getting involved, the surveillance game has changed. The amount of listening and listening devices that are out there, the amount of tracking devices or tracking capabilities that are out there are insane. And now that AI is stepping in, forget about it. It's going to be even worse. Now, the National Guards are in D.C. I don't know if he pulled them back yet. I don't think he did. Excuse me. He didn't pull them back yet. Sorry. But the problem, guys, is that where is it going to end? You're putting National Guardsmen on the streets of America to bring down or reduce crime is bullshit. Because what are you going to do, or how long are you going to leave them on the streets for? And what are you going to do after you pull them back? Crime is going to go back to the way it was in a lot of these areas unless the police force steps up. And there's no talk, at least in the media, there's no talk on any kind of plan or what the cops are going to do to take over to keep crime reduced. So, again, it seems like that the National Guards are going to be in the streets of America for the foreseeable future in these following cities, which again, as of right now, there's talk of Chicago, Detroit, Baltimore, New York City, Washington, D.C., and New Orleans. When is enough enough? Now, obviously, guys, you got the National Guards on the street. I can see them starting to, if the National Guards stay on the street, they're going to start deploying drones to do surveillance or patrolling the streets of these cities. Having the National Guards in the cities is a bad idea. I've said that before. I'll say it again. It's also unconstitutional. Now, granted, if there's a martial law, which I can see them enacting, then they get to stay in the streets, again, for the protection of Americans. This, guys, is not good. It's not going to fare well if he keeps them on the street because, again, with the military tacticians, if you will, or military experts, if he pulls them out, if he pulls National Guards out, things are going to collapse. We saw that happen a few times in different countries. So it's going to happen here. So to keep that from happening, you got to keep National Guards in the streets. Now, there's a ton of solutions I'm going to talk about in a little bit. But this is what controlling looks like. And again, it's coming from the president that everybody, including myself, wanted in office. And now, and again, though, I said this last year, before he got elected, we were going to see a different president. I didn't think we were going to see a president go this far with deploying National Guards to fight crime. And again, it's bullshit because there's a million other things you could do to fight crime. Trump and American citizens want crime to be reduced. Here is a proven method that worked in New York City that can work anywhere else. It's called the broken windows theory. It's where you start locking people up for small crimes to big crimes, right? Because if you allow the small crimes to go unchecked, they turn into big crimes or bigger assaults or bigger issues like we're seeing here in New York City. For example, drug addicts are not getting locked up. They're clearly shooting up in the middle of the street. And now that they're not getting locked up, we're seeing more drug addicts shoot up in the middle of the street. Now, Rudy Giuliani, or rather William Bratton, started the broken window theory and enacted it here in New York City in the 90s, and it cleaned the city up. That is a proven method that worked. Now, I am waiting for cities to put up real resistance against letting Trump and the National Guards in. I want to know what that's going to look like. I can also see Trump, again, threatening a lot of these cities and or states by pulling state and or city funding away. I can absolutely see that happening. But here's the solution. You got to hire more cops in these states. You got to treat cops better and protect the cops before the criminals. Especially if the criminal is a criminal who's criminaling, you got to protect the cops. This is where the disconnect is happening. This is where so many officers are leaving a lot of these liberal cities because they're like, well, wait, they're not going to protect me, but they're protecting these scumbags and they're releasing them back out on the street. So I got to arrest this guy again for the 56th time. Cops are having enough. If you protect your police officers first, if you stand up for your police officers first, and you treat criminals like criminals, you're going to get cops that want to stay on the job and do their job. Again, hiring more police officers with better pay as well is going to add to a safer street. Not National Guardsmen on the streets of America, who a lot of National Guardsmen think they're special forces and special ops. I'm like, dude, you're a guard. You're not fucking going down range. You're walking the streets of America. You're dealing with a couple of drug dealers. Fucking getting all tacked out for what? If you treat the cops better, you're going to have a better outcome. That is just a simple fact. If you use the broken windows method that New York City used, you're going to have a better outcome, not National Guardsmen on the street. Anyway, guys, this is The Angry Prepper. Thank you for watching.